Are you fucking done?
I missed the whole conversation.
Damn it. We aren't paying you at all to sit there and make noise playing your Pokemans game.
Hello and welcome to the Mana Flood podcast, the only podcast where the boys decided a hand with 5 lands, an arcane signet, and a soul ring was a good enough hand to start. Get your floaties ready because the episode starts now.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mana Flood. In fact, we did the math. This is officially our season finale.
Yes, correct. This will not actually affect anything going forward. There will be no break in between episodes. But for us, officially, season 1, last episode, done.
We did it. Half a year, roughly, of Mana Flood.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, actually.
We missed one episode, and that was Christmas. My bad. Again, I've apologized for it before. So, oopie doopies, as the kids say.
I don't think they say that.
I'm an old man. I'm allowed to be out of touch.
That's fair.
Although I don't think they said oopie doopies when we were kids either.
I don't think so.
As the kids say, oopie doopies. The dog, the fucking face the dog was making. Sorry. God, we need a Loki cam. We need to just put like a GoPro on his head or something. That would be great. Like, stick it to his collar. Hey, buddy, I was just talking shit about you. Yes. Okay. Back on top. Last episode, we killed it. This episode, not so much. Very off topic.
Very off topic.
The brain cell is hard to keep under control.
Currently like 12:13 at night. So we're a little...
We literally just finished recording the last episode and went, bop, record. So.
Yeah. So what you get is what you get.
Yeah. So back to season finale. We arbitrarily chose the number 13. We're sticking with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all that means now. Spotify starting next episode. We'll just say season 2.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, I am from the Flood. You can find me on X. Maybe I'll have a blue sky by now. I doubt it because I don't like social media. It's a lot to keep up with. But maybe I will.
Is.
So look out for that. You can also find me on Twitch sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I should go back on there just so I don't lose my affiliate status. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to Nom Honey for recording that wonderful intro that you heard at the beginning of the episode after our little silly cold open.
Yes.
And the wonderful gentleman beside me here.
Once again, I am Parmesan. You can find me on TikTok, X, and Instagram at Parmesan TV. Once again, I just should post about Magic the Gathering, sometimes about other things as well. And a very big shout out to our friend Ozzy. They are the ones that we commissioned our Mana Flood logo through. Thanks, Loki.
If you see the camera shake, it's because Loki keeps walking directly under the camera. And then not only does he bop like the bottom of the stand, he also likes to wag his tail in there and kind of...
Yeah, that was pretty smooth that time, actually.
He went down exactly
Anyways,
as I was describing.
sorry.
It was fun.
Shout out, friend Ozzy. They did our Mana Flood logo, and they will also be doing the logo for our gameplay episode, which hopefully y'all will see soon. But yeah, you can check them out at The Stars Have Eyes. You can look at their art, commission some art through them. Loki, stop shaking shit, please, for the love of God. Yeah.
Perfect. Today's episode, we are carrying on with the color identity. We're hoping by the end of next season to actually be into the double colors. And I think we should be able to get there.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because our original vision of this podcast was to like be very beginner focused, learner centric, so people could learn things. And then we kind of devolved into, we have one brain cell, let's make the best of it. And that seems to be working for us at the moment. So
far, so good.
So far, so good. A big thank you to everyone who's been supporting us so far. I know this is the beginning of the episode and we throw it at the end usually, but we've done so much better this first half of a year than I expected of us. Really. I didn't expect us to be getting the numbers of views we're getting. And I know...
Yeah, I mean, obviously you look at the numbers, people are going to be like, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
but for like a podcast just like starting out, like that that's quite a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And there are even some like podcasts out there. On average, like we are getting more views than them, which is, and they've been around longer, which is crazy.
It's so crazy that we're getting so much support from the community and from everyone, and it really means a lot. It's really cool to see us grow. I know things we can work on for the next season. Be more active on social media.
Yes, for sure.
We very recently got some professional lighting. Our camera, we switched over to using my cell phone for the last 2 episodes. We're going to see if the quality ends up actually being better. And if it does, we're just going to keep up with that because I figured out how to get that on. And maybe by the end of the next season, we'll have a 2 or 3 camera setup, which would be really cool. And a cozy little lounge space if we can, right? So that we have ideas for making things better and make things look better. But I'm hoping we can get there.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to wait and see.
Yep,
But
exactly.
A big thank you. I think maybe we'll start a Patreon or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Just spitballing. We'll come up with ideas, and as we do, we'll post them to social media and what have you. So, yeah. Anyway, today's episode is not sponsored. But it's going to be Mono Red. I was just sad that we don't have sponsors.
Yet.
Yeah. Self-plug, please sponsor us.
Please.
That wasn't a plug.
We know we're dumb, but we're funny. Sometimes. Kind of. To some people we are.
Yeah. People don't hit. We haven't been ratioed off of YouTube yet.
Good sign. Good sign.
It'll happen.
Yeah, so...
and then we'll have an apology video.
Yep.
And we'll get the somber lighting out.
Yep. That'll really give them... Anyways.
And we'll have the teleprompter, and we'll be sitting on the couch and have it, like, up here so that you get the casting couch view.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know if we can put that in.
Look, if you know what it is, that's on you, not me.
You know what? That's true. That's true. That was not what I was expecting to hear in this episode. Man of Flood.
I was really out of pocket.
That's pretty good. Anyways, with that, today's episode, Mono Red.
It's late. I'm tired. Mono Red. We love it. It's very fun. The color identity, it pulls its mana from the mountains of the world. Mountains, volcanoes, fire. I get it. Whoosh. I get it. The key principles include emotion, impulse, and action. If you've ever read the stories or listened to podcasts on the stories, if you think about Chandra, that describes her very well.
Like to a T.
Yeah, that's exactly what she's based off of. She's very emotional. She acts on impulse and those emotions, and she takes action without even thinking. It is so easy to manipulate that poor girl. But,
I mean, if I could hook fire at anything, I would also probably just be like, haha, burn.
Yeah. I would be like, I want to fix the world.
Burn.
Wait. So, yeah. It makes sense. And it's nice that the fire user isn't the stereotypical bad guy in Magic. It's really cool.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Because,
very true.
Like, you look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that show. Don't get me wrong. But very stereotypically, fire users are the bad guys.
Yep.
And it's refreshing to see Chandra not be the bad guy.
For sure.
The allies, which you can see by flipping the card over, and it's the 2 colors on the back of the card that are right beside the color red. So for this, it would be green and black. And then its enemies are the 2 colors that are opposite. And its enemies are white and blue.
Which, truthfully, I think red is all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Azorius is the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You pull out your white blue deck, your stacks. What are they? They're awful. Our buddy had one.
Grand Arbiter?
Ah,
Grand Arbiter Augustin 4. Lavinia, Azorius Renegade.
I want to build that deck. Still want to build it.
I know you do.
I love how you're like, hey, dude, got any decks you want to build? And I was like, and you're like, not that one. And I was like,
You were like, actually, shut up. Shut up.
So, yeah.
But yeah.
Red also aims to overpower the enemy with speed and aggression. So kind of like Angry Sonic the Hedgehog. And right, yeah, like, yeah. I guess Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow. Literally Shadow.
It's right there in the game. And Red does a lot of damaging spells, and it has haste creatures to represent the speed and aggression that we spoke about earlier. Like, there's a lot to Red. It has a lot, like, lightning bolts. There's a lot of low mana burn spells that just do quick damage. And there's a lot of decks built around it, like Niv Mizzet and whatnot.
So many, actually.
Actually, probably more like Stella Lee than Niv Mizzet, but...
Stella Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some Niv Mizzet list. Then there's, like, Emodane, Taralf, Torbran. There's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can just burn.
Yeah.
So...
the stereotypes of mono red players. I'm not gonna lie, I was not nice about this one. I'm gonna be real. I kind of went off as a former mono red player myself. The typical like Kyle persona. You know, they love to drink energy drinks, typically like Monster sponsors.
Please. Like, it's not a sponsor, but we would love that.
And like when they go home, they're going home to just punch shit, man. Drywall is like their absolute worst enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time they see drywall, it's ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, they don't care if there's a stud in there. They'll punch through it.
They'll punch through it. It's
They're
gonna
experienced.
hurt, but it's gonna make them more angry.
Yeah. And then they'll find another patch of drywall and probably hit a stud again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know that's just what they do.
That's what happens when you punch drywall with no thought for your own safety.
Yeah.
You hit a stud.
Yeah.
Don't go for the corner.
These are the same kind of people. They probably think like Fred Durst is still pretty relevant. Our lighting person is dying right now. But yeah, they think Fred Durst is like the be all of music, because you know they are pretty fly for some white guys. They're also very, you know, down with the sickness. Ooh, ah, ah, ah.
Ooh, ah, ah.
Ooh, wah, ah, ah. My bad.
Ooh, ah, ah.
I don't even know how he does that.
Oh, oh, ah, ah, ah.
Wah, wah.
Oh, ah, 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 ah.
Almost 90% of the time, very conservative, you know, which like is fine, but like aggressively conservative, you know, like aggressively, like
If you don't agree with their politics, they're in your face.
they spent like 20 grand on like a MAGA chain probably or something. I don't know.
like
I'm not American.
Me neither.
They think Hot Pockets are a well-balanced meal. And zero maidens. I did put another word in this, but that is not good.
Yeah, Elden Ring. They are maidenless.
Yes, maidenless.
And going off of the Hot Pockets topic, they believe the Hot Pocket and diet is a legitimate diet that will make them lose weight.
Oh, for sure. They think that shit's Ozempic. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Which I guess, just based on that diet, they're full of gas.
Yeah.
Just like, if someone's shitting their pants at the table, it's the mono red player.
You see these guys walk around.
Yeah.
Like, it's
You know who
crazy.
you are.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
It's funny. We don't actually have any guys like that at our LGS. Now that I think about it, like zero.
Well, I play mono red. I made someone rage
You're not like
quit.
stereotypical mono red players.
That's true, but I
Yeah.
played a turn 3 Blood Moon and made someone rage quit.
Never mind.
They were playing Wooburg.
My bad.
It was a good day.
Which again, don't make your land base so greedy. Basics are fine. Anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, in Wooburg, you kind of have to.
Yeah. I know.
But you get shut down hard.
yeah.
Like, one non-basic land hate, you're done. You're
Yeah.
done. The game's over. GG's. Start fetching basics.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the stereotypes of mono red players.
Yep. If we offended you, please let us know in the comments down below. We're not looking for interaction. We just want to know.
Yeah,
We're looking for interaction, but we can't tell them.
that was real subtle, man.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I've got the subtlety of a falling tree.
Yeah, that checks out.
Like a falling oak. Full-grown oak.
Full-grown oak.
Yeah. In your front yard.
Oh,
That's how subtle I am.
like just went on top of my car, kind of.
House. Subtle.
That insurance return gonna be sick, though.
Brand new house, baby.
Just kidding. New CDH deck.
True.
Who needs a functional house?
Yeah, you break a bunch of my stuff, and then they're like, here's the money for new furniture. And I'm like, CDH, baby.
I can sit on deck boxes, right?
Yeah. We'll make the deck boxes into a chair. A throne for me to bring around with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, zero maybes. Zero.
Yeah. Okay. What does Red do best? They've got super cheap spells, high damage, damage-based removal. So, like, do enough damage to do X damage, get rid of some stuff. They've got fast-paced combat, artifact destruction, board wipes. You can cast stuff from exile, which is really cool. But for the most part, off the top of my head, I think you have to put it there yourself.
Yeah, most of the like red cards that do this are like, hey, put the top however many cards of your library into exile. You may cast those cards this turn or till the end of your next turn.
Yeah.
Something like that. But just more like card draw, essentially, that isn't like actually card draw.
Yeah. It's card draw, but everyone can kind of see what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of red decks based around this. It's really cool.
Yep.
Really fun. They're also super good at drawing cards and buffing creatures.
Yes. I mean, albeit obviously not as good as drawing cards as blue.
No?
But a lot of these like really
not.
cheap instants or sorceries that like will buff your creatures will also draw you cards. Why? I don't know.
Because they were like,
do
you know
it.
what red needs?
Card draw.
Card draw. And red got it. And yeah, red is... I know we ragged on mono red players. I have a mono red deck. It's one of my favorite decks to play. I give it to beginners all the time so the beginner can pub stomp. It's super good for learning the game, right? Like, I think we've said it before, Commander is a terrible format to learn the game. However, if you have a mono red deck, it helps people learn so
For sure.
much.
Out of all of the colors, I would say red is probably like the easiest one to learn. It's very straightforward. The game plan is right there in front of you.
Yeah. I'd say red, and then either white or black. Or green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
blue,
I'd say those three are the same. And then blue's hard.
blue definitely the hardest.
Yeah.
For sure.
Blue's
But
confusing and weird. But red, if you're going to teach someone the game, give them a red deck. Don't give them... Right?
Yep.
And so far, whenever I do that to people,
It helps.
you've seen, we have a buddy. He plays a Slivers Precon.
Yep.
I gave him my mono red deck, and he had so much fun. Every time I show up to our pod, he's like, "Hey man, did you bring your mono red?" And I'm like, "I forgot it."
Yep.
So he's only played it the once. However, I will bring it for you. I swear, it's going to be the first one that goes into my backpack this semester. So it'll be there for you. I promise.
Yes.
Yeah. So red, I guess that's a hidden strength of it.
Kind of, actually. Yeah.
It's easy to learn.
Easily. What does red do poorly? Counter spells. Red has like Pyroblast and like red Elemental Blast and
Counter specific colors.
Yeah,
it's not
that's about it.
It's good in deflecting SWAT. It's good in CEDH, but
Yeah, even then, like it's like one or two cards. Like it's
it's
very very situational, very minimal.
since the bans, it's become like the bans from last September. I can say now, September 2024.
Yeah.
It's become like pretty bad in CEDH.
Yeah.
like it has its moments where it could be good, but in general better things you
It
can
has
do.
like probably like, in my opinion, one deck that's really good in the format right now, which we'll get into in a bit. But red also is very bad at like ramping with lands.
Yes.
It doesn't do it very well. When red ramps, it's more gaining like floating mana or mana from like treasure tokens or
That
gold tokens.
turn ramp.
Yeah, that turn ramp, not like long turn ramp.
No, it's just you get all of it all at once to have one super big turn.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of that might just be in our Niv Mizzet deck, but we have a lot of duplicating effects and stuff to make those spells go really freaking hard. And it's kind of like, and the nice thing about that is those spells usually end the game. When the red player is playing that,
Oh yeah.
and they get like a bajillion mana, of a bajillion colored red and blue mana, that's usually when the game's probably coming to an end. And I say and blue because that just happens in our Niv Mizzet deck, which isn't mono red, but
Yeah.
it happens quite a bit. Deck's not finished. Very fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Red's also really bad at using exile as removal. Don't get me wrong, it does have that. But most of the time it's under the stipulation of like, if that creature would be destroyed this way, then exile it. Instead of just exile. Done.
Which means it's difficult to get around indestructible
For sure.
in mono red.
For sure.
Yeah.
Another thing Red's really bad at, aristocrat effects. So like whenever you sack X amount of creatures or whenever X amount of creatures die, do a thing. It doesn't really, I don't actually know if it has any of that. I could be very wrong.
I can't.
But I can't think of any off the top of my head. Enchantment removal. Again, not very great at it. There's a few things for sure, but it's not like a essential part of the color. And also, very, very bad at control strategies.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, could be wrong, but I
Yeah.
don't think there's like as such thing as a mono red control deck.
And even if there is, it's just not going to be as good as blue or white.
Yeah,
Really.
it's gonna be outclassed by
It'll
like,
be outclassed by green.
yeah, truly, true.
Like, if you build a green control deck and a red control deck, the green control deck will win every time. And that's
sure.
kind of in a 1v1 anyway. So, like, it's kind of unfortunate. And again, going back to the exile removal, when red exiles, it's usually your own shit,
That too.
right? If it's going to
Exile
exile
it and
something,
cast it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll go back to its strength. It's great at exiling your own stuff to cast it later.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hit pretty hard by because it doesn't even. I don't think it has that much graveyard recursion either.
No.
Right, so it's hit pretty hard by
If
no.
it does, it's usually like instant sorceries, like flashback or something to
Yeah,
cast them.
and
again.
it has some things that do things while they're in the graveyard.
but like that's it.
Yeah, like
That's it.
it's hard to pull out of the graveyard
Yep.
with red, and that's it's one of the weaknesses. What can we say? All right, let's move right along to the most popular red commanders. We're gonna start at number 2.
Yes, for reasons.
I couldn't tell you.
It's a good medallion.
I have no idea.
So the second most popular commander is actually Magda Brazen Outlaw. This card is very strong. The deck is very strong. It's also probably the only good mono red deck in CEDH at the moment. Magda herself is a 1 in a red for a 2/1 legendary dwarf berserker. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasure tokens. You can search your library for an artifact or dragon card. Put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. So again, in just regular EDH, very good. Very good. Very solid. Lets you hit artifacts that you may need, like even just like Soul Ring and Lotus Petal, honestly. It lets you hit those really big dragons like Terror of the Peaks, Hellkite Tyrant, all those kind of things. And then in CDH, well, I mean, it just fetches you your combo pieces.
Yeah, like
And it's
this is mean. This is really, really mean. You just sack 5 treasures to tutor, essentially. And the crazy thing is you don't have to tap them. You can just sack them. So if someone's like, okay, I'm going to board wipe, you can be like, bet. But in response, I'm going to get combo pieces. I'm going to play things, and it's red, so you get a lot of spells that you can just bop, 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 burn people, like smack the person who's board wiping in the face. Player removal is a thing. You might not be able to counter the spell, but you can just kill someone.
Magna being like a 2 cost is really helpful in CDH right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can see a lot of decks just building... Get lots of treasures, and like anything that's not a combo piece is just building you treasures because you're commander tutors. Right?
Yeah, albeit the deck's probably a little worse now. Because Dockside Extortionist got banned, and we don't have those loops anymore.
No more Dockside loops, which were huge in CEDH.
Huge.
Which seems silly to ban and... Anyway, let's not go into that. Let's not go into that.
But yeah, Magna's still a pretty good deck in my opinion. And then we will move on to the second card on the list, which is actually...
Mine. Most popular commander in mono red. It is surprisingly... Krenko.
But which one?
The one that I can't remember the name of right now. It creates goblins when you attack with it. Definitely not Krenko Mob Boss. It's the other one.
Teen Street Kingpin?
10 Street Kingpin. That's the one. Krenko 10 Street. No, 10 Street Kingpin. That's the one I have.
He's referring to, yeah.
Yep. Perforos, God of the Forge.
Yep.
That's
That's my favorite goblin.
that's my favorite goblin. It's Perforos, God of the Forge. Best goblins deck. No, it's Krenko Mob Boss. Number 1 most popular deck to play in mono red. I can't remember if I pulled this card or how I got this card a long time ago, but I ended up with a Krenko Mob Boss. I think actually back in my standard days, way back.
That's a
like,
bit.
Yeah, that's like 10 plus years ago.
That's like M11, M10, something like that.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I had a buddy who played a Goblins deck, and it was Rush, and it was... I had Rakdos. That would outrush it. But if I wasn't playing Rakdos, holy was it ever annoying. So I wanted to bring that level of annoyance to other people in Commander. And I did.
Sure did.
He is kill on sight. However, I put really mean things like Blood Moon, and I want to put a Winter Moon in that deck. So that people are like, I want to get rid of the other thing instead of Krenko.
Yeah. Like, Krenko's a problem, but also this stuff is more problematic at the moment.
And I have Swifty boots and the other boots that I can't remember right now because it's very late and I'm very tired.
Lightning Greaves?
Lightning Greaves, right? Both of those are in there for protection so that you have to blow a removal on that to hopefully get onto Krenko. But guess what? As soon as you try to blow that removal, and I know you're going to remove Krenko, tap because he has haste. And I get my double goblins regardless.
Bro also goes infinite pretty easily with like Thornbite Staff. I'm sure there's other ones. I can't remember them. But
I made sure, because I use this deck to teach new players, I made sure I don't have any Krenko infinites. And I did have a Dockside combo in there completely by accident. Dockside was a goblin. Kiki Jiki was a goblin. Fucking oops, that's on me. However, Dockside's banned now, so he's no longer in the deck.
Yep.
And now deck is just great for teaching new players because Krenko is kill on sight. So it teaches them to strategically play Krenko when they have maybe protection in hand, or they can equip the protection. Maybe they wait a turn if they know that someone's playing heavy interaction. It's really good for teaching people not only how the game works and how mana works and everything like that, all the basic stuff. It also teaches people really well, in my opinion, how to best watch out for other players.
yeah.
Right? And I think it's done very well in our school group specifically, where we bring in new people. because they play it and they go, oh, look at all this cool stuff I can do. Look at all this cool shit that happens, and now I won the game, right? And it's good. It's hype. It's exciting. It has some great moments and some great, oh, you got the board wipe. I was so close, right? There's so much of that going on. Or I eliminated the wrong person. I know for next time, go for the guy with the bigger board, right? There's a lot happening there.
Oh, for
and sure. Yeah, I've used it for teaching, and it's fun. There's a bunch of different win conditions that aren't infinite. They're just create lots of goblins, and the goblins entering either buff another creature, like Devilish Valet, or you've got impact tremors. There's the one that whenever a creature comes in, its controller may have it deal damage, deal 1 damage, or damage equal to its power. That one's super fun because it adds an element of chaos. And you're just like, oh man, who's going to win, the mono green or the mono red? Because they're doing a lot of damage every turn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a fun deck. I really enjoy it. I'm sure others who have played against it will say otherwise. Yeah. But anyone who's played it is like, I love that deck, and it's fun. So, and then we have John's choice.
Mine, which is actually a deck I have more recently built, and by more recently built, I mean it's not actually built yet, but quite literally like a day or two from now, it will be built. Mine is also a goblin deck.
Hell yeah.
But mine's slightly different.
Hell no.
My commander is Zada Hedron Grinder for 3 in a red. Zada is a legendary goblin ally for 3/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zada, copy that spell for each other creature you control that the spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures.
Did you just buff your shit?
Yeah.
Buff yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
it a
So I
fight
play like Teamer Battle Rage, which gives us Zada specifically double strike. All of my goblins get double strike. And so on. I like this deck a lot because it really doesn't have any need for I can't even call them clunky, but I guess in this deck they would be considered clunky, like haste enablers, like Hammer, Perforos, and such. Because there are enough instants in the deck that straight up will be like, target creature gains haste and does something else, to which then it targets my other creatures on the board as well. Yeah, basically this deck is like buffing creatures and making a lot of dudes and just winning.
Making the dudes.
Make a lot of dudes. The other good things in this deck, I guess, like as you said, impact tremors, make a lot of dudes and pew 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 pew. Perforos. There's that new goblin from Jumpstart Foundations that I forget the name of, but basically it's impact tremors on a creature.
Yep, that's the one you mentioned last episode.
Yes, last episode. I can't remember its name. I'm sorry. But yeah, very straightforward. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
It's great.
Yep.
It's a good time. Okay, so some popular red staples. I think we're going to go with some cheap ones and then go into some expensive ones as normal. So, everyone, I think if you've played Magic for more than 2 weeks, even if you've only played Magic for 2 weeks, you've probably run into a Blasphemous Act.
Yeah.
It's 8 in a red. The spell costs 1 colorless less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. It's a board wipe for all intents and purposes. It will kill most things on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you gotta watch out for Eldrazi in green, but for the most part, it'll be a good old board wipe, right? So.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure.
Very strong. Indestructible gets around it, of course, but it's a good card to have in your mono red deck regardless.
Yeah, like, especially against, token decks, man. Mm-hmm. Token decks, they make a lot of creatures. You kind of just cast a Blasphemous Act and you're like, all right, goodbye.
And unless it's one of those token decks that builds tokens and counters, it's probably, even if it does run counters, 13 damage is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, like all of your stuff has to be quite large.
Yeah, at least 14.
I would say, yeah.
And then, so it's a lot of damage. Yep. It'll be great.
Our next staple, kind of like Blasphemous Act, if you've been playing for like a week or two, you probably have had this card used against you, or you yourself have used this card. This card is called Chaos Warp. Chaos Warp for 2 in a red is an instant that says the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield.
If you've ever bought a red precon, both of those cards will be in it.
Yep. It's pretty straightforward, man. Good, I would say temporary removal. Because let's be honest, shuffling something back into a deck is great. But tutors unfortunately exist.
Oh, they sure do. So you can just go, okay, I'm going to get it back.
Yeah. Also, like, that may mess up the game depending on what they flip from the top of their deck. They could flip a land, which, like, I have no man, good for you. Or they could flip something else.
Yeah, they could flip an Emrakul.
Yeah, or...
Which actually isn't that bad for you because it doesn't get the cast effect.
Yeah. If they flip into, like, an Ulabog the Defiler, though, I think a little bit of poop would come out.
Even still, they don't really, like, depending on what's already exiled, they don't get the cast effect. So
That's true enough, yeah.
right? So
yeah.
flipping Eldrazi is actually scary at first, but then you think about it and you're like, actually,
It's not that bad.
that's pretty good.
It's not that bad. Yeah.
And then our next, and our last kind of cheaper staple, but still really good, is Faithless Looting. It's 1 red, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. It has flashback for 2 and a red, which just means you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then you exile it.
Yep.
So there's 1 for that Ulamog.
Yeah.
Boom.
Goodbye.
But drawing 2 cards, then discarding 2 cards, new players hate to do it. Because they go, oh man, but like, I've got a really good hand. I just need a land. Like, how many times have you seen someone playing red go, I just need a land? But if you had a Faithless Looting in your hand, or they discard the Faithless Looting at the end of their thing, and it's like, no, you get to draw 2. It's super good because it can dig through your library, get you to that land you might need, or maybe a combo piece. There's so much you can do with a Faithless Looting.
So much.
Like, card draw is super powerful, and sure, you have to discard 2. But let's be real. Later in the game, you can just drop lands, right? You're like, I don't need these anymore.
Yep.
Nothing in my deck costs more than 4. Like, it'll get to a point where Faithless Looting, more often than not, is a super useful card.
Yeah, and then you have... I can't remember if you said this in this episode or the last one. I'm going to be real with you. But red has not a lot, but it definitely has some stuff that does stuff from the graveyard. So, like, the draw 2, then discard 2, one of those 2 that you discard could, in fact, be an Anger, which states as long as this card is in the graveyard and you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste.
Yeah, which
That's a super good way to get that into the graveyard. Again, decks like the Graveyard Overdrive deck that Chase had talked about last episode, discard 2 Lurgoyfs and you cheat them out essentially. Like, it has a lot of different utility other than just drawing 2 cards.
And you can be super creative with the way this card is used because of the way the color red works.
Yep.
Which is really cool. And at first you look at it, you go, it's a common for 1 and it's kind of bad, but the more you think about it, and it would be better if it was an instant, for sure. But, I mean, it's still a sorcery. It's still great, and it's only going to cost you 1 mana to try to get your combo pieces out, right? The better the deck, the more you're probably going to see that one or cards like it.
Definitely, in my opinion, one of the better card draws in red, for sure. Next, now we're kind of moving on to the more expensive staples in red. Money. This one is... Well, this one is very good.
Yeah.
And it's cool because we've seen it be reprinted a little bit in pre-cons, which is nice, but not like too much.
Yeah, they're very careful.
Yes.
Because they know this card pops off.
This card is called Jeska's Will for 2 and a red sorcery. Choose 1. If you control your commander, you in fact get to choose both instead. And the modes read, add red for each card in target opponent's hand, and exile the top 3 cards of your library, and you may play them this turn.
If you're going to choose the second option, choose it. Make sure you don't play your land for turn. Right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're gonna play, if you're gonna play Jeska's Will, don't play your land for turn, because you get to just play a land for free off the top of your deck if that's one of the things you drew into, and it would really, really suck if you'd already played your land for turn.
Yes, because then you lose one of your lands, and red decks don't really run a lot of those.
And you will see a lot of people try to argue, oh no, it says I get to play it. And it's like, yeah, but you don't get to break turn order. It doesn't say additional lands or anything.
Tell
so.
those people to shut up.
Yeah, don't get gaslighted. That's a big thing on this podcast. Don't let people gaslight you.
It's true.
Like, even if you trust the person or the person at the LGS who's like got the most knowledge of Magic rules, everyone trusts them. Google is your friend. Google it. Find a Reddit post.
Always
find something, because
Google.
someone will have, at this point in Magic's history, someone will have had the exact same problem you have with the exact same interaction. Google it.
Please.
Check it out. And see what the answer is. And because even the most experienced players, they might not be trying to gaslight you. They get it wrong.
Also, like, if you don't want to Google, commanders typically played in a pot of 4 people. Ask the other people at the table. Right?
And like, I've had situations where the other 3 people at the table were just blindly believing the most experienced person, especially when I got back into it. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works. And I would Google it. And sometimes I'd be right. Sometimes I'd be wrong. Right? And it doesn't hurt, because then you have the knowledge for yourself and you know for sure.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. Like, knowing for sure is not a bad thing.
No, never a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so the next more expensive staple is Deflecting Swat. We mentioned it earlier in the episode. I didn't say what it did. If you control your commander... Sorry, if you control a commander. So if you steal your opponent's commander, this counts. You may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. So, if someone's trying to destroy something you have, or someone's targeting you, or trying to target something you own, you can just go, no, let's flip it back on you. And then they're like, wait. Now I have to counter my own spell or mill myself out? This is baloney. And I love that it states target spell or ability. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's super funny. Someone's like, I'm using this ability to win the game. Everyone loses because I choose each of you.
Yes.
And then you're like, I'm going to actually fling that back your way, my guy.
Also, a lot of people, as one content creator said, reading the card explains the card.
It's true.
A lot of people, when they see spell, just assume like instant or sorcery. Mm-hmm. Incorrect. Spell. That means like aura enchantments, like Curse of Opulence or something. Mm-hmm. You can Deflecting Spot those as well, albeit probably there are some instances in sorceries. They're much better targets. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So much utility.
Oh, it's such a fun little spell as a quick little gotcha that nobody expects coming from red.
Yeah, somebody's...
It's also like an outlier, really. Yeah. Could have very easily been put on the outlier list.
True.
Right. So, yeah. Very fun card.
Yep.
Great staple. If you can afford it, definitely pick it up.
Yes. The next card, and I believe this is the only sorcery or instant that does so in red. Red, they don't have a ton of tutor effects, but when they do, they're usually attached to a creature. And you have to, like, sack something in order to do that tutor ability. Gamble, however, is a bit different. Gamble is a sorcery for 1 red that states, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand. Then discard a card at random and shuffle.
Mm-hmm. So it's an incredible card when you have lots of cards in hand. A terrible card when Gamble is the only card in hand.
Yes.
Unless you're searching for anger.
Unless you're searching for... Then, like...
Whatever,
good,
dude.
man.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man.
Whatever. Like, you might lose something great. However, you still get to tutor for your combo pieces. You still get to get exactly what you wanted from just your search. It's one of the few tutors in the game, and probably, I think the only tutor I can think of off the top of my head that isn't black, that searches without revealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Because, Enlightened
strong.
Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Worldly Tutor, they all require you to reveal it. Yeah.
Yeah, you reveal it first, right?
And it also goes directly to hand, not even on top.
Yeah. So, it's powerful.
It's good.
If you're looking for combo pieces.
Will you potentially discard the combo piece? Yes, but
in like and this one is good in mono red, especially if you get it early. But red definitely burns through its hand very quick.
Yeah.
This is incredible in like my Niv Mizzet. right? Red,
Oh, yeah.
blue. So good because you're going to have so many cards in hand. And then you're like, yeah, it's a gamble. Whatever. I could lose something incredible. I could lose Stella Lee. But I get a combo piece and win the game off of it. I get curiosity because it says a card, right? Which is, I can go, okay, curiosity, now I win the game. As long as I keep it, right? Like there's so many cards that you can potentially find. It's super strong.
Another thing I didn't really think of. Most of the tutors have like a card type attached, except for like the black ones.
Yeah, the ones that have a card type you have to reveal.
Yeah, I guess gamble is like just a card.
Yeah.
It's sick.
It's a super strong card, and the more you think about it, the better it gets, right? And a lot of these red cards, a lot of these staples have a lot of utility that you don't really think about at first, right? Because like, say you're playing my Goblins deck, and Gamble is the only card you have in hand. Well, you tutor for Anger then.
Yep.
And Anger goes immediately into your graveyard. Sure, now you have no cards in hand, but if you were going to play Gamble, that was going to happen anyways because I don't have any card draw.
Yeah. Something I find about red is that it's often seen as like the one, because I guess green is also seen as this, but very much the shut-off brain color, which for the most part, yeah, I would say is right. But also red has some like really intricate like interactions and utility things that you can do that nobody else will think will come from red and will really catch them off guard when you're playing a game.
Yeah, like if you're playing red and you can build a really smart red deck that feels like you're playing against a blue deck.
Yep.
It just doesn't have a lot of stacks or a lot of hyper control, but it still has the same feel like you're playing across the table from someone playing blue.
Yep.
And I really love the versatility that red brings.
For
it's
sure.
really interesting,
For sure.
really cool, and really just good to see. You know, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So
A lot of fun.
yeah.
And for outliers for red, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have a lot. I'm sure there's probably more than what I thought of. But immediately right off the hop, I thought of Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. Because those are cards that counter spells. However, that being said, those cards are blue spell specific.
Yeah. There is, of course, the staples. It seems like a lot of the cases, the staples are cards that don't really fit the color identity. I would say Deflecting Swat is a huge
I would
outlier,
also say Deflecting
right?
Swat is one of those for sure.
Yeah. And Gamble. Right? Like, I know you get to tutor, and usually in red you sacrifice or lose a card, and I know you get to discard a card at random, right? Which is usually just you going, like, shuffling your hand and then going, pick a card from your opponent.
Yes.
Right? But it's still one of the best tutors in the game and not something you expect from red.
For sure. And in the case of Deflecting Swat, switching targets of a spell or ability is very much like a blue thing to do. You definitely don't expect red to do that at all. So it's good.
It's a red card that feels very blue.
Yep.
So, yeah. And something we didn't say earlier, but we can say now, red is very good at 1v1s.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah. It's stupid. If you can get an early 1v1, like from from 40 health to 0, it's incredible. Red is where you want to go.
Yeah.
However, 120 is a bit much for red.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of damage really quick. But.
Yeah. If you're playing like a 1v1 commander game, which is weird, don't do that.
Well, dual commanders.
Yeah.
Then you have a different ban list, but still.
Or you're playing like you're the last two people standing at the pod and you just so happen to play mono red. If you have a way to kind of like keep your hand, keep getting gas essentially, the mono red deck has a really good chance of winning because as we have said earlier, it just like outpaces and like just overwhelms. Truly,
it does. And if you can get Blasphemous Act, if you can get the 1 mana Blasphemous Act, the red player has a huge chance of winning on that turn.
Yeah, like
in a 1v1. Because they can get so much crap out there with haste, right? You got an Anger in the graveyard, and then you're just like, boom, 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 boom. All my small stuff is now doing the remainder of your health.
Yeah, like board wipes, arguably the color that handles them best is 100% red.
Yeah.
Just because they can rebuild so quick.
Yeah, like, especially something, again, like Blasphemous Act.
Yep.
You can be like, I'm going to give, Krenko Indestructible, Blasphemous Act, tap, now I have an extra goblin, now we'll drop down a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm swinging for game. Like, it's actually kind of insane how quickly red can rebuild, how strong it is, and it's very fun.
Very fun. Very fun.
It's,
I definitely recommend try it at least once.
Yeah.
Yep.
Try mono red, build a deck to help your friends learn, right? And it's really, building a mono red deck is really cool because even mine, my Krenko beginner deck, has a lot of things that when I play it, people go, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then so beginners don't play it the same, and then after they play it, I go, you could have done that and done this. And they're like, oh, what? It works like that? Like tapping Krenko right before your turn starts.
Yep.
And then you keep him as a blocker right until your turn starts. A lot of people, they just want to get their goblins and be done with it, right?
Yeah.
Or you save him until he's targeted and then you tap him, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting, fun ways you can use him for that.
Definitely if you want to have like a good time pretty consistently, red and even like mono green, both are fun.
Yeah.
Both are extremely fun.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
that's pretty much all we got for mono red. If we missed anything, if you're like, hey, you idiots, you forgot this outlier, or why didn't you mention this card? It's my favorite. Let us know. Let us know if there's anything you think we can improve on. If our 20-minute intro was too long, let us know. Every bit of criticism does help to us making the podcast better in the end. So
Yes. 100%. That was a time.
that was
a time.
It's hard to get on track for this one, but again, thank you so much for watching, for listening, for hanging out, and just spending time with us. It really means the world to see so much support, and so much interest in what we're doing. Right? Like we're just two guys from Canada that we've slowly built actually a really cool studio. Like
It's pretty good, man.
it's taken
not bad.
half of a year to get everything together. We're still missing a microphone that we want.
It's kind of wild to think that like
Where we started versus where we are in just half a year.
yeah.
Like, and yeah, that's all like my student loans, but still, we're doing really well, I think. And by doing really well, I mean I'm having a lot of fun building the studio and trying to make every episode look and feel and sound just slightly better than the last one. I actually had an audio engineer come in and set the mics for us. So my mic is set for my voice. I did my best to kind of replicate that for your mic.
Yep.
So I don't know how it's going to end up sounding for the last 2 episodes.
That's fair.
We'll find out when I edit. Hopefully it's great. But yeah, it's been such a wild season. It's crazy to me to think that we arbitrarily during episode 1 went 13 episodes, full season. That's how we're going to do. And now we're here.
Now we're here at the last episode of season 1.
At the final episode of season 1. And it's been so fun. We've got, like we said at the beginning, we've gotten so much more support than I thought. I thought we'd be getting like 2-3 views per episode. Nah.
No, it's
And those were
been
us.
more.
Like, no, we've gotten some genuine support, and we've gotten some comments from some really cool people. Everyone who's commented, super cool. We had a guest this season. We're hoping to bring in more next season, but it's logistically a little difficult. However,
Yeah.
I think with this setup, it will probably be a little bit easier
I think so.
to get people right. So, and now we need one more mic, which I should hopefully be able to pick up in the summer, and
Oh yeah.
we'll have everything we need. It's just been a crazy ride, and we're so glad you're here for it. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for giving us your support. It's probably about the end of January, middle of January now by the time this releases.
Somewhere around there.
And yeah, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again next week. I'm From the Flood. You can find me on X. You can find me on Twitch. I'm going to start streaming again. I swear it's just been so crazy here. But I will start streaming so I don't lose that. And you can find me on Facebook, I guess. But other than that, the wonderful gentleman beside me here.
I am Parmesan. You can find me on X, Twitter, and Instagram at Parmesan TV, where I will either be shitposting about Magic the Gathering or not shutting up about the Heir Apparent card.
Yeah, he's great. He's shredded. Cheese jokes. Big thank you to Nom Honey for the outro that you're going to hear right now.
Thank you for listening to the Mana Flood podcast. Any references to companies or other content creators in this episode are done strictly out of love for the brand, as we are not sponsored. If you would like to contact us, our email is floodedmanapool@gmail.com or find us on X at floodedmanapool. You can also contact the host directly at From the Flood or at Parma Jawn. Have a good day. Bye.